Welcome back, everybody. We are doing another exciting episode of Indie Reads Aloud. Today, our visiting author is D.K. Marie, and she writes amazing romance, various levels of heat and excitement. So strap in. This is going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up. This is episode 225, and I'm super excited because we've now been doing this for 4 years. And episode 225, I see as a milestone. So, welcome, DK. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm very excited to be here.
So, tell us a little bit about how you got started on your writing journey.
I started later. I was always a big reader, but I started later, and it was just reading an interview by another author saying how she kept writing because she wanted to keep playing with her imaginary friends when she was too old, and that's what she did. And I was like, you know what? So do I. Like, so have I. So I should try this. I should try writing. I had a friend who always said I should do it. And so I just started writing, and the story poured out. And then I was like, well, hopefully I have another one in me and another one. And I did. And now the stories just don't stop.
Isn't it fabulous when that happens? I
Hmm.
just love it. How many books have you written so far now?
I have, let me see, I have the poetry book. I have four from the opposites attract, four, eight, so eight, nine, and another one coming
Congratulations.
out in September.
That's fantastic. Well done.
So I
Hey.
guess I did it. Yeah. Well, and then that first series I did do like traditionally published. So when my old agent had started going through, I had said, they picked up the whole series. So that, and I only had 1.5 books written. So I really had to hustle to get that written. So that helped get knock out some.
So,
And then the newest one I did self-published.
okay, so for the authors that are listening, and I know we have lots in our listenership that are independent authors, so that's kind of what we focus on. What would you say is the biggest difference, distinction, or hurdle between independent publishing and traditionally publishing?
Everything moves faster in self-publishing. You don't have to wait around for the slow wheels to turn. There's a lot more control and freedom on what you want to do and what you want to do with it, but it's harder because it's harder in the fact that you have to do like everything, the marketing, and I
Mm,
mean you have to do most of the marketing with a lot of the traditional publishers, but like they find the editor, your editor finds the public, or your agent would find your publishing house, the publishing house finds an editor, finds a cover designer, gets the book formatted, does all that. Where like as a self-published, I had to do it, but I like it because I got to pick the editor I wanted, the covers I wanted,
right. Yeah,
so
you
I
you get
liked
more
it.
of that minutia control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I could do, and like I said, where they're behind, like I felt like the covers weren't quite what I wanted, where I could do it and talk to a cover designer and they could say, "Oh yeah, this is what's popular and this and that." And they know they know what's happening, where it was like the traditionally published houses are a little bit more behind. So if you're willing
Mm,
to do the research, you can be more up. Or like say right now, the book that's coming out in the fall, like right now there seems to be like a push for like bourbon style romances, or like this, like people like them. I keep seeing them on TikTok, this and
sure.
that. Like if I went through an agent and a publisher, like that window might close by the time my book comes
Yeah,
out. It might be
absolutely.
not out for 2 years, where I have it written. I'm doing the line edits. I got my line edits for my traditional
Yeah.
as I'm going through those, and I'll have the arcs ready, have it ready in September versus
Yeah,
traditional.
so you can take advantage in traditional publishing, you could take advantage of those fickle winds of readership and what they want in the moment rather than what are they going to want 2 years from now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is nobody really knows what they want for 2 years now. When you self-publish, if that's what's popular, and that's just thing, if it's not, then it's not. But if it is, at least I can get it out when I
Yeah,
want to get it out. And like I said, and do the covers that I think are more popular and stuff. But the biggest hurdle is, but then I have to find all this stuff, and and
sure.
and you have, and I
It's
have
a
all
lot of
the upfront
administrative
costs.
work.
Yeah, and it's the
Yeah.
upfront cost when you have a publishing house, they do all that and they just
And then
take.
you pay them on the back end. Right.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
royalties,
Sure.
So
Yeah,
either way, you're going to pay. It's whether or not you pay in the beginning or you pay at the end.
exactly.
Either way,
Yep.
you're paying.
Yep. So the book you're going to be reading today is Smooth Sailing, and we want to let everybody know this book does have listener advisories for mature situations and strong language. So if you have little ears listening to the program, as often we do, I highly recommend that you preview this episode before you introduce it to the little people. So give us a rundown real quick. What's going on in Smooth Sailing?
Well, luckily, I won't have to give too much because I'm going to start at the beginning. This is an interconnected series. So, actually, the opening chapter was written in another book that I have called Making Waves, where in that one, the main character in this book is getting dumped by the guy she was in a situational ship with. So, in that book, it was from his point of view why he was doing it, why he felt he needed to. And in this book, it was her reaction, what was going on internally to her and
Oh,
how
that's a fun way to write a series. I like that.
it was like, and it was fun to try to play with it because some of the stuff, like coming back and now knowing the main character Paloma a little better, I was like, I don't know, would she have said this? Would she have did it this way? Like I had to fit it in with that conversation that already happened and the people already out there to make it fit, but still make it not
Still
chunky.
sounds like
So
a fun writing challenge though.
yeah, it was a challenge and it was a fun one. So hopefully it plays out okay, especially because it's an opening chapter. Opening chapters are so important. So I have to have it fit, but
Absolutely.
also pull the reader in and have it make sense. So it
Uh,
was a
I am
challenge, but
I am super excited to hear this. I have not read your work before, so whenever I'm introduced to a new author, I'm so excited to hear what they have to share. So I'm willing to grow my TBR pile after today's episode if this goes well.
all right, awesome.
And I know you have more books, so you will be coming back to share more with us in the future, right?
Oh, I would love to.
Yay. Okay. Um, so you're going to read from Smooth Sailing, and when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
Okay. Sorry, I closed my book. All right. Chapter 1. July 12th, 12:15 a.m. The willowy woman in the short red hair stalked towards the entrance of the hill and yanked the door open. Deep sensual vocals from a local band filled the night air as the door of the restaurant turned nightclub opened. When it shut, the crickets and the frogs took over singing. Neither calmed Paloma Wagner's boiling anger. She whirled back to the man she was in a situational ship with and pointed over her shoulder to his pretty neighbor. Are you sleeping with Lilith? Asher wasn't her boyfriend, but Paloma had insisted at the start of their orgasm arrangement that they tell each other if they wanted more or less. And yes, lately a tiny part of her had hoped he'd eventually want more. But above all, she wanted honesty. No, his voice was firm, but he looked away as if guilt had made her gaze too heavy to hold. She was so damn tired of men lying to her. Heat spread from her chest down to her arms and to her fingers that curled into fists. The warmth had little to do with the muggy Michigan night and all to do with the blooming disappointment. She shook her head. Then what the hell is going on? He crossed his arms. Nothing. I'm just worried about my neighbor. Because she's with me, a man snarled. Paloma jolted, forgetting Asher's friend Max was in the parking lot with them. He had been leaving with Lilith. It seemed that Lilith was in hot demand. Scorching jealousy flared within Paloma, but she smothered it, refusing to let it burn her. Fuck, Asher sighed and shoved his hands in his pockets. Listen, man, I'm sorry. You know how I get with crowds, especially when there's drinking. I saw her leave and I panicked. I wasn't thinking clearly. No shit, Max grumbled, but his tense stance fell away. But listen, if it'll ease your mind and she doesn't mind, give her a ride home instead of me. His acquiescence annoyed the shit out of Paloma. Asher shouldn't get a free pass because his past made him an overprotective ass. It would, but I swear it's nothing against you, Asher said. Whatever, man. I'm going back inside. Max turned, heading towards the hill. She'd always found him handsome, with his broad shoulders and lean, ropey muscles, even better looking than Asher. But Max was a nice guy. A real one. Not assholes who pretended to be decent men, but the real thing. A true good guy always found her to be too much. Her jaw clenched and her gaze snapped back to Asher, who was still avoiding eye contact. He wasn't the love of her life, not even close, so it wasn't that he might be interested in Lilith that it truly bothered her. It was the line that got under her skin. She had dealt with enough deception to last a lifetime. And here was Asher, the man she had trusted enough to let into her bed, into her life, lying to her. pretending he wasn't into his neighbor when it was painfully obvious. The anger that had been simmering now threatened to boil over, but beneath it was a sharp sting of hurt. Why couldn't he just be honest with her? Did he think she was too fragile to handle the truth, or did he simply not respect her enough to give it to her straight? She took a deep breath, refusing to let him see how much this affected her. Instead, she focused on the lie. The betrayal of trust cut deeper than any potential attraction to another woman. This isn't your normal controlling tendencies. I'm not controlling. He had the nerve to sound offended. Fine, we'll call it your hero complex. I see the way you watch her. You don't look at her like she's a friend. She took a small step away from him. Don't be the guy who wants to fuck someone else but is too much of a ball sack to fess up. I swear that's not what I'm doing. He ran his fingers through his hair, pulled at the ends, and let them fall to his side. But we should take a break. And you're telling me it has nothing to do with your neighbor? She asked, relieved her voice didn't shake. It has to do with you wanting more than I can give you, Asher said. Paloma crossed her arms, pressing against the gentle throbbing in her heart. She was an idiot. Asher wasn't even her boyfriend. Hell, that's why she had first hit on him, because he didn't do girlfriends. But of course, her dumbass had gone and catched feelings for him. They might be small, but it still stung. Like I said before, I'm not in a position to be in a relationship, he finished. Ah, yes, his daughter. Maybe there was some truth to it, but she was also an excuse. You use Raven as a shield, a justification not to get close to any woman because you're afraid of getting hurt. No, I don't. She held up her hand. It's true. I do feel more than simple lust for you, so it's better we break it off if you don't feel the same. I'm not interested in being with a guy who can't give me what I need. You deserve more than I can give you, he repeated. Saying it once was enough. Thanks, she snapped. His words were a cop out and total bullshit. But she should be used to it. She was always too much, or not enough. She straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin high enough that the sting in her eyes couldn't spill over. Kissing his cheek, she curved her lips into a smile she'd perfected after a lifetime of goodbyes. I'll see you around. She sauntered towards the hill, refusing to look back. One foot in front of the other, away from another failed relationship. Forward was the only direction that mattered. Her steps slowed. But what if there was nothing to look forward to in the future? She rolled her shoulders and shook her hands. It was time to stop with her pity party for one. Dating wasn't everything. She was rebuilding her career and was almost out of the red. And Asher, it was her own damn fault for thinking those lazy Sunday mornings and midnight tacos meant anything more than convenience. Hell, she had been the one to suggest keep it casual. She had practically bragged about her no strings philosophy. Turns out she was just another woman who couldn't keep sex from getting complicated. Opening the door, the hill music washed over her, a gentle caress on her sore heart. The daytime dinner tables were shoved against the wall, and gyrating bodies filled a makeshift dance floor with the usual last call hopefuls lining the outskirts of the bar. The crowd parted for half a second, and she spotted two friends in a booth on the far side of the restaurant. They were chatting and nursing martinis. She'd grab a drink and join them. Heading that way, she sighed. The bar was packed as the dance floor. A man on a stool stood. Finally, a sliver of luck. She rushed forward and slid into the empty seat, nodding a thank you and signaling the bartender. She glanced at the man on the adjacent stool and smiled. It was none other than sweet and sexy Max, although right now he looked more sour than sweet. No surprise, they'd both expected their nights to go very differently. She thought Asher would be coming home with her, and Max had probably assumed he was spending the night with Lilith. Instead, the two were riding off into the night together towards their happily ever after. Jerks. Sitting straight, she ran her palm down her fitted red dress, subtly adjusting the plunging neckline. She and Max could use each other to forget about their night's disappointment. As the wise adage said, the best way to get over a man is to get under another one. That's chapter one. And I'll go to chapter two. These are in dual POV, so this is Max. Chapter two, July 12th, 12:35 a.m. Max London tapped his glass on the bar top and raised his hand at the bartender. Although he should slow down or he'd be staggering home. Let me get your next drink, came a sultry voice he recognized. The last time he had heard it, it was laden with anger. Now it dripped with desire. He turned to face Paloma. She crossed her legs and leaned against the bar, the silk of her dress pulling taut in all the right places. And damn, the woman looked really good in red. Asher was a fool to let her walk away. How about I get yours? She asked, oozing confidence and sex. Was it hiding sadness underneath? She had to see the way Asher looked at his neighbor. Before he told Brian her order, a pretty pink drink was set in front of her. Had she even ordered one? Did you have lager, Max? The bartender asked. IPA, he ground out. Couldn't Brian, who was the regular weekend bartender for over a year, remember it? He didn't seem to have the same problem with Paloma. Fuck, he was as bitter as his drink. It was time to go home. Add her drink to my tab, then close it. Max downed his beer. It was time to sleep off his shitty mood. He had enjoyed dancing with Lilith, but there hadn't been a spark between them. He had only planned to drop her off on his way home. He hadn't appreciated his friend's insinuations and attitude, the asshole. Don't leave so soon, Paloma purred, resting a hand on his knee. The words were clear enough, and as was their meaning that had been and it was their meaning that had his mind spinning. Her palm slid higher on his leg, and his gaze darted between her hand and her face to those hot, cupid red bow lips. They curved into a smile that sent his pulse racing. Her fingers traced even higher on his thigh, and his confusion vanished. Oh, oh. What about Asher? He asked. Honey, she leaned closer. I don't wait around for any man who looks at another woman the way he looks at hers. Every impulse in his body screamed yes, which was exactly why he shifted his leg from her touch. Paloma was hotter than the July sun, but his first instincts were usually the worst, and right now every single one of them was begging for him to accept. She shrugged and reached for her drink. He couldn't help watching her full red lips press against the glass as the amber liquid slipped down her throat. Wait, amber? He glanced at his drink. His was pink. He raised his brows at her. Sorry, she didn't sound like it, and he couldn't help grinning. He liked her sass. Brian thinks it's cute to give me that drink. It has grapefruit in it. I frickin' hate grapefruit. She took another sip of his drink. He wrinkled his nose. He couldn't blame her for the theft at all. Grapefruit's nasty. Why does he make it for you? She pointed at the cocktail. It's called a Paloma. You're named after a drink? Yep. According to my parents, I was conceived at a wild vacation in Mexico when my mom discovered the drink. Max chuckled. I thought it was after Pablo Picasso's daughter. Why? I don't know. Figured your parents were into art. Back in high school, our senior year, you were in my art class. You were way more talented than me. Thanks, she smiled, and he was positive it was the first genuine one during their conversation, and it was beautiful. Not that I've drawn or painted for fun in years, she said. But your job is creative. You're an interior designer, right? She tilted her head. How do you know? When she and Asher first got together, he'd mentioned that they'd met while he had been building a house she was designing. And for some reason, Max didn't want his friend in the conversation with Paloma. We live in a small town, he said instead. Isn't it a prerequisite to know everyone's business? She groaned. Ugh, it is. Picking up the drink, she swirled it, then took another sip. Setting it down, she said, I don't know, what's it called? You design landscapes? Warmth spread through his chest that she had known what he did for a living. But even so, he couldn't hold in a grin. Landscape architect. Yep, for homes and businesses. She stared at him for a full 3 seconds or so, then blinked and said, Wow, you have a really nice smile. He dropped his gaze to his stolen drink. Thanks. He rubbed the back of his neck. Don't tell me the guy who designs million-dollar gardens gets frustrated over a simple compliment, she teased. I don't. He fiddled with the paper umbrella in his drink of her old drink. And they're not million-dollar gardens. She took another sip of his drink, peering over the rim. So, 500,000 then? And you're still avoiding the compliment part. His face burned hot enough to match her dress. I design functional outdoor spaces that. He caught her raised brow and stopped himself. I'm doing it again, aren't I? Hiding behind work talk? Yep. She nudged his shoulders with hers. But it's kind of adorable. A laugh escaped between his recently clenched jaw. And when had his dark mood slipped away? And your work is outstanding, she finished. He sat up taller. Oh, and how do you know? I decorated one of Asher's builds during our final walkthrough with the client. The landscape was finished. Later, when I saw Asher, I mentioned how impressed I was at the design. He told me your company had done the work. Forget his chest warming. He was damn near swelling with pride. Thanks. He swirled his new pink drink and took a small sip. He grunted at the sweet and sour flavors on his tongue. This isn't too bad. The tequila masked most of the grapefruit taste. When she didn't reply, he glanced at her. Her red fingernails tapped on the bar top and she stared at nothing. He waved a hand in front of her and she blinked. Her eyes held a bright gleam, though different from the earlier flirtiness. Can I hire you? She asked. Had he read her wrong? Was she hitting on him again? If so, this was by far the oddest pickup line. Max scratched his cheek. I'm not following. I have a super swanky client. It's a couple with a gorgeous home on Brighton on Woodland Lake with lots of windows. They want a year-round garden in their house. And I don't mean a few potted plants, but some lush and hardy with blends with vi but something lush and hearty that blends with the vibe of the indoor decor. Oh, she actually wanted to hire him for a job, and his dumbass was a little disappointed, but also intrigued. An inside garden would be an interesting challenge, and he admitted as much to her. He ran his finger along the rim of his drink in front of him. I already have a lot of jobs scheduled, though. I understand you're busy, but this isn't just any job. It's a chance to create something truly unique, a living, breathing work of art that seamlessly integrates with the high-end interior design. We're talking about transforming an entire section of their home into an oasis that changes with the seasons, right alongside Woodland Lake's stunning views. It's not just landscaping, it's sculpting an ecosystem, plus the budget. Let's say it reflects the caliber of the project. He balanced the possibilities in his mind, absently running his thumb over the worn edges of the bar top. I've already have a full schedule. I'm not sure if my company is the right fit. Taking another project would eat up the sliver of free summer he had, and he didn't need the business or the money. But the concept tugged at him like a loose thread he couldn't help but pull. It wasn't just another job. It was the kind of innovative challenge that could transform and grow his business. His gaze flickered to Paloma as the bass thrummed through his chest, matching the quickening heartbeat. Turning her down had been the right thing to do, even if every sip of his new drink seemed to taste of regret. I've seen your previous work. You can do this. So the chapter has about another page and a half, but I'm at 15.
Keep
Stop it?
going. Keep going. Let's hear the end of the chapter. Yeah.
Right. Her certainty got under his skin, and for a moment he saw himself through her eyes, not as the screw up his family who had made, not as the family screw up who had made too many impulsive choices. Yes, he saw the irony of taking on an impulsive project to prove he wasn't impulsive, but something about it and her had him intrigued. Walk me through the concept one more time. The smile that crossed her face told him she had known all along he'd say yes. The attraction hit him like gravity, but beneath it lurked a nagging voice. Her relationship with Asher was barely history before she'd turned those siren eyes his way. It didn't matter. This was about work. He'd keep it about work. How about you come with me to their place tomorrow? She said. I'll show you my plans for the house and what we're looking for with the interior garden. He could fit it in, so why not at least a look? Sure, what's the address? She gave him another brilliant, genuine smile, and his pulse raced, his heart smacking against his ribs. Shit. It's a good thing he had managed to hold on to his impulsiveness that had turned her down before they had started talking. The more he got to know her, the more he liked her. He could already tell he'd have wanted more than a night with her, and all she wanted him for was to get over another man. Working together was the smarter choice. They shook hands and he ignored how he liked the feel of her soft skin against his calloused palm. That's it.
Very good. Wow. This is super steamy.
Yeah, those two have a lot of chemistry.
They have a
It's a
lot
slow
of
burn, believe it or
chemistry.
not. The romance itself is a slow burn, but it burns.
Yeah, yeah. That's like nice warm coals underneath that.
Hmm.
Just nice steady heat. I like it. I like it a lot. So this is from Smooth Sailing, which is this is the second book in the Lake House novel series.
Yep, there's a novella in between it that's actually Paloma's brother. But like I said, you don't have to read the first one. The first one was Asher and Lilith's story.
Okay, so we don't have to read these in order. We can just pick one up and
Mhm. Yeah, like this
perfect.
one actually overlaps it. Like I said, like that part where she's getting dumped is probably like 30% in Making Waves.
Okay.
In like I said, in Asher and Lilith's story. So no, you don't have to.
Excellent. And
to
what's the title of the novella?
Stilettos and Seashells.
I love the titles of your books. These are fabulous.
Thanks.
So
And that
super
one,
creative.
yeah, and that one too, that one all takes place in Traverse City. And that's I do sell the paperbacks like in person and stuff, but you can actually just you can get the novella if you sign up for my newsletter.
Oh, that's fabulous. Okay,
Mhm.
in the show notes is a link to your website. So anyone who wants to do that can jump right through the show notes, click on your website, and they can sign up for your newsletter.
Yep, it's right under in the tab that I believe it's sign up for newsletter. And as soon as you get that,
Perfect.
it'll show up. And like I said, it's a fun little story about Felix,
Awesome.
brother. And she's in there a tiny bit because that one like actually takes place before all of these books where it was like where she talks about how she was in a bad relationship. She was licking her wounds in Traverse City at her brother's house in that little novella.
Okay. Excellent. I'm super excited. I'm so glad we got to meet yesterday at the festival, and I'm really thrilled that now my TBR pile is even bigger. I'm gonna die with an unread TBR
I'm gonna
pile.
die underneath my TBR pile when it crashes
Yes.
on me and buries me alive, and that's my happiest way
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, so often I think, I'm gonna downsize, get a smaller house, and then I think, well, where am I gonna put all the books? Like maybe downsizing isn't the right choice. Maybe it's just expand the library and downsize the living space.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like one of these bedrooms sooner or later is gonna turn into my own library. I want like
Yeah.
ceiling bookshelves.
Yeah, we all want the Bell traveling ladder, right?
Mhm. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's gonna happen one day, even if it has to be a slash guest bedroom. One
Right.
way or another, even if I downsize, I gotta have at least two bedrooms. So one of them can be my writing room slash library with floor to ceiling
Absolutely.
bookshelves.
I am so glad you came on the program. I'm looking forward to
So
having
glad
you
that you
back
invited me onto it. It
again.
was a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to you coming back, and we'll explore all of your novels if you'll share them with
Definitely. I'd
us.
love to. I would love to.
Awesome. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for
Thank
having me
you.
again. It was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Mhm.